Dum 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 dum. Whittle 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 whittle. Today's video will be on the grandfather of all first-person shooters, Doom. And even that distinction is an injustice to Doom. Doom sits atop a pantheon of rare games that allow themselves to say that they ushered in an entire renaissance of video games. The sheer magnitude of the importance of this game cannot be understated. The 1993 version of this game is still used as the benchmark for a lot of technology, even in the modern era. Anytime someone sees something with a screen, gamers always foam at the mouth to be able to sing that same line they always do. Can it run Doom? I mean, for God's sakes, they've got Doom on a TI-83. Look at this, they're running Doom on a pregnancy test. How many games do you know can be run on a pregnancy test? The answer is 2. Doom 1 and Doom 2. The point is, the word Doom has become synonymous with video gaming. The game is good. But why is the game good? Well, I imagine that's what you're here for. Let's get into it. Doom first hit the shelves in 1993. It was first released on the PC, but many console ports would come soon thereafter. PC gaming was still in its infancy and was much like a Wild West at this time. Designer John Romero and programmer John Carmack had made games like this before, like Wolfenstein 3D, but nothing of this magnitude had ever been seen before in video gaming. The game was very clearly a passion project for both Romero and Carmack. Throughout the game, you can see constant references to their favorite things, that being cheesy horror B-movies, sci-fi action flicks, and thrash metal. Which, fun fact, also happened to be my favorite 3 things ever. That's why this game is so important to me. I didn't grow up in 1993, but I still felt the effects of Doom for sure. Growing up, I was an avid PC gamer playing games like Half-Life, Counter-Strike, and Team Fortress 2. And without Doom's online deathmatch mode, there might not have even been competitive multiplayer shooters. But I'm getting far too ahead of myself. Let's talk about the actual game. John Carmack once famously said that story in a video game is like story in a porn movie. It's expected to be there, but it's not that important. This design philosophy can be felt truly in Doom. You play as an unnamed space marine ripping and tearing his way through the armies of the undead, and that's all that really matters. I didn't come here for deep and rich lore. I came here for one thing and one thing only: to kill demons! And Doom Guy gets quite the robust arsenal when it comes to carrying out this holy mission. Weapons include a standard pistol, a shotgun, a chainsaw, a plasma rifle, and the BFG 9000. The big fucking gun, dude. They tried to retcon it in later installations by saying it's the biological fungus. I don't care, man. It's the big fucking gun. It's things like these that show the attitude of Doom and the attitude of general audiences at this time. People were already abandoning Nintendo in favor of edgier games consoles like the Sega Genesis. During this time, Nintendo seemed like the really uncool uncle that goes to church and files his taxes. But Doom doesn't need taxes! I have the big fucking gun! What the fuck is a Roth IRA? Gamers at this time just wanted something new, something different. Doom abandoned the slow, methodical gameplay of Wolfenstein 3D in favor of the fast, blistering action that you can see on screen. And you're probably thinking to yourself right now, okay, well there were other fast games, what was so special about Doom? Well, let me introduce you to a little concept I like to call the third dimension. Ever heard of it? Ring any bells? Well, I'll help you out. You live in it! Like I said, Doom wasn't the first game to implement 3D graphics. And it wasn't even the first game to implement a first-person perspective. But it was the first game to really refine these into what we see today. I mean, would you just look at it? It looks glorious! I hate to say it, I really do, but shooting things in this game feels so good! Blasting a demon's face off with a shotgun just looks incredible in this game. In-game, enemies are rendered as 2D sprites, but the actual models themselves were clay figures. This allowed enemies to turn in 360 degrees of motion. This helped the armies of hell feel alive as you were well, killing them. And this excellent sprite work was complemented very well by the extremely memorable level design. These levels take place on military installations on the moons of Mars and Hell itself. And there's this really awesome contrast between the dark and electronic military bases on Mars and the fleshy, organic mazes that you see in the pits of Hell. And it all combined to make a very unique experience. The gory, satanic imagery that you see in Doom was very rare in North America during this time. It was only in Japan that you could find a game so chock full of religious imagery and gore. So how did a game like this even get popular? Well, in part, it was thanks to the guerrilla marketing campaign that John Romero and John Carmack employed. The first few levels, titled Knee Deep in the Dead, were released as free demos for anyone to download online. The demo ended in a cliffhanger, motivating people to go out and buy the game if they really enjoyed it. And what do you know, people being able to try a game to see if it's actually bad or not succeeded very well. This led people to go buy Doom in droves. So many people, in fact, that PC gaming as a whole evolved because of it. You can see on screen right now, Doom is a very good looking game and is running very well on my modern computer. But processors at the time were not equipped to handle this kind of stress. Imagine for me, if you will, you're studying for a test. You've got so many things going on and it's overloading your brain and it just kind of feels full. Now imagine that same situation if you had two brains. People wanted to play Doom at the highest possible resolution and at the highest possible frame rate, but the scope of the game was too much for just one processor to handle. And in their efforts to get as much out of Doom as people possibly could, they invented the graphics processing unit, or the GPU. The processor and the RAM chips would store hard-coded data like what level you were on, how much ammo you had, what guns you had, and the GPU would render the levels in beautiful quality. This effectively cut in half the work that the processor needed to do so that you could run Doom in 60 frames per second and at maximum quality. And this also made PCs cheaper in general to upgrade. In the days of yore, you would need to buy an entirely new PC if you wanted better processing power. And I don't know about you guys, but buying a new PC every year kind of adds up quick. And now people could upgrade their computers for significantly less cost, less often. Hey, are you still following me? I promise we're gonna get back to the game soon. So not only was Doom super fun and visually breathtaking, it was more accessible to the masses than it had ever been. Doom was everywhere and everyone was playing it, no matter who you are, young or old. There's stories of people at offices playing multiplayer Doom on LAN parties and it completely shutting down the office internet. And this was such a common problem that corporations had to literally blacklist Doom from company computers. And this was the first real time outside of corporate politics that people began to really analyze just how video games affect humans, which has, unfortunately, brought me to my next point. You've got to understand something. During the early 90s, the religious right was all over American media like butter on bread. You couldn't even cough and it sound like a cuss word without concerned parents slapping a sticker on you that says parental advisory. And sure, it's very easy to look back on that time and lament about how silly we were being. But video games were new, the internet was new, and people were genuinely scared of what it can do to the psyche. Parents had real, genuine concerns about their 6-year-old having unfettered access to the violence that you see on screen right now. So how did Doom respond? Well, they said, fuck you, now there's two of me! Like I said, id Software did not care. They remained steadfast in the face of millions of parents who said that their brainchild was satanic and a poison to the mind. Remember what I said? Doom is the cool uncle. Doom said, whatever, man, I don't need you, I don't need anybody. I still don't know what a Roth IRA is. The point is their position was stated. Doom was not going anywhere, and it was here to stay. Doom not only received dozens of ports on the many consoles in 1993, but it also spawned many different sequels. And it wasn't just the sequels that prolonged the longevity of this game. In a deliberate move by Carmack and Romero, Doom was made easily moddable. There's something that even modern video games companies fail to understand. Being able to mod a game breathes new life into games for decades to come. That's why Todd Howard got away with releasing Skyrim like 12 times. In fact, I would even argue that the mods for Doom helped its longevity more than the sequels ever could have. I mean, look at the screen! They got a goddamn Seinfeld mod! Mods are still released for Doom even to this day. That really just goes to show how dedicated this fanbase is to their favorite game. And just like a demon who rises from the pits of hell, and just like an angered space marine who only knows rage, Doom cannot be killed. Doom will never die. And I still have no idea what a Roth IRA is!